get my 6. So while I'm drinking it, I figured I'd just talk to you about a few things. Yes, I'm having coffee late. It's evening already. I'm barely going to have time to get this video uploaded before dark. I had a late nap because I decided to take a day off today. Not from this, but from all the crazy, insane physical stuff I do. Yesterday, I cut up more of the big pine tree that fell, stacked logs. I weed-eated. I ran a few miles. I lifted weights. I went around trimming limbs and stuff out of the trails until it was too dark to see. And well, when I got up this morning, I was a little bit sore, believe it or not. Crazy Lake actually was a little bit sore. Just swallowing a gnat. Oh, it's gnat season. So anyway, I decided I wouldn't do anything physical today, right? It was a beautiful day here in Central Virginia. It hit 80 degrees today. So I went into town, figured I'd take a little walk. Well, I ended up walking for 2 hours. So there's what Crazy Lake does when he decides not to be physical on a day. He goes and walks 2 hours. I probably walked 6 to 8 miles, something like that. It was just so beautiful. I love Charlottesville. It's a beautiful town filled with wonderful people. What I do is I'll go eat somewhere for lunch or whatever, and then I ask permission of the restaurateur if it's okay if I leave my truck there while I walk for an hour, hour and a half, and they always say yes. There's several different places I go. It's important. I want to just share this with you. A lot of times if we spend too much time alone, if we spend too much time at home, we start to believe our own thoughts, which isn't always a good thing. And I do not watch news. I know I'm complete, like Mark Twain said, people who don't watch the news or read the news are uninformed. But people that do watch or read the news are misinformed. I am happily uninformed. I am ignorantly bliss about it. I almost mentioned this in a video last week. I went into town last week, and that's when I had that big post office haul. And by the way, I got another one today. You guys keep sending Mercedes-Benzes and other things, and I'm going to get to some of this in a letter that I think I might have left down at the house, but I remember the gist of it. But look at this. I was looking at baby pictures. Here's Daniel. I've shown this picture before. He was maybe he was 2 here. This is during my down and out years in the Philippines. We had 15 pesos in our pocket that day. This is important because of a letter I got from somebody. I remember the gist of it. It's down at the house. And because of a letter I got with some wonderful literature from a woman named Lynn in England. People sending stuff from all over the world. And look at this. This was mailed to Cleopatra Lake. No kidding, look at that. Can you see that? That's our P.O. box. I don't mind showing you the address. Somebody mailed my potential Bigfoot Sasquatch hunting partner, Cat treats. She's already spoiled. She's gonna be even more spoiled. And then my gosh, my garage is gonna be filled by the end of the month with Mercedes-Benzes. Here's another one. Look at that. This one's yellow. When I was in Charlottesville today, I saw a lot of really, really pretty Mercedes-Benzes. There's so many down there, Oh, you see these. I mean, I went to the campus today. Beautiful campus. You see these college girls that look like models driving these $60,000 plus Mercedes-Benzes. Like, man, whatever. I appreciate everything you guys are sending. But listen, I want to talk to you about a couple things. Somebody sent me a letter. I'll tell you, it reminded me of someone I actually know personally. And if it hadn't been for the name and the return address from being in Iowa, I would have sworn it was the same person. I'm not going to be too specific here. She said that she didn't know how to message me on the internet, so she wrote me a letter. Said she used to comment in my videos, but I banned her because her husband commented on one of my videos on her account. She said he was very disrespectful, so I banned her account. So now she can't. Listen, guys, I don't know who says what. I have very simple rules. We're here for entertainment. If you want to watch my videos, watch my videos. Thank you for watching my videos. If you want to be supportive, if you want to, call out timestamps, you thought you might have seen what other people thought they might have seen, hey, wonderful. But when you come on here, you insult our viewers, you insult me, you insult my wife, you're gone. It's just that simple. Now, we do pray for you first. Okay, when you come on here and you make comments like, OMG, I can't believe how stupid so many people are to watch this guy's fake videos. You guys are idiots. Well, we'll pray for you. We humbly ask that God brings you the same health, wealth, and prosperity that God has given our family, our house, and we mean it. And then we ban you. There's no ill will towards you. To quote the prophet Tupac Shakur, he talked about just people he just wants nothing to do with, people that I guess he doesn't like. He doesn't want bad things to happen to them. And if it's somebody he had a falling out with, he said, I still want you to eat, just not at my table. So that's how we feel about you, brah. Go back, stay in the basement, but go do what it is you do on a different channel, because there are so many wonderful viewers here. They're mailing my cat treats, brah. Come on, man. Go somewhere else. So anyway, that's why this lady sent the letter. The long and short of it is that she's been with her husband almost 20 years. She can't get him to do anything to help her. Like, he does the bare minimal that he can get away with just to avoid having that conversation about the D word. No, come on, get your heads out of the gutter. I'm talking about divorce, okay? But be prepared to put your heads back in the gutter, because this is my sermon. This is crazy, guys. I've been getting letters from churches ever since God told me to deliver this message speech. Some of them have asked me. Most of them are local. Some have asked me to visit and attend and join their congregation. More than one has asked me to come give a sermon. Here's my sermon. I'm giving it here today. But I'm not going to ask you to break out the Holy Bible. I'm not going to ask you to break out the Torah. And I'm not going to ask you to get out the Quran or whatever holy book of choice you read. I'm going to ask you to break out the Urban Dictionary. All right. So the woman asked me, what advice could I give her? She mentioned that they have a decent sized property too that could look so much better than it does, but her husband is not willing to get up off his backside and go out a couple hours a week just to make it look better. And she's begged him. And she, hey, listen, no, there's nothing you can do. You said it's been almost 20 years. Well, there's one thing I might suggest. And here's where you're going to have to get that Urban Dictionary ready. And I know 70% of you who watch these videos are my age or older. And you're like, what's the Urban Dictionary? Just Google it. And then put in this phrase I'm going to tell you, okay? I swear I think I just saw a ghost. I felt like a cold draft. Ugh, whatever. Anyway, back when I was a financial planner, back when I was a stockbroker, there were these disclaimers all over all the information that we would give out to our prospects or our clients about the mutual funds they bought or the stocks or whatever. And it said, basically, past performance is not indicative of future results. So if I were to pitch you this wonderful mutual fund and I say, look at this mountain chart. In the last 20 years, it's averaged 13.5%. I recommend with the money you have available, you buy this today. Okay, I could say that, but I also had to let you know that just because it's, achieved 13.5% for the last 20 years, that's no guarantee that that's what it's going to do in the future. Okay, we all know this. But here's the thing about people, human beings. Past performance is indicative of future results. Now, people can change. I've changed. But it takes great effort, and you've got to want to do it for yourself. If you're married to a guy who won't help you, doesn't contribute much, won't even go out and make your place look nicer, and it's been almost 20 years, that past 20-year return is pretty indicative of his future results. He's just not going to do anything. Now, here's one suggestion I might be able to give you. Listen, if the man ain't willing to get up off his ass and go out and dig a ditch to support you, then he doesn't deserve to lay the pipe. Look that up in the Urban Dictionary, lay the pipe. And that's probably not going to work for you either, because I'm more confident that his past performance or lack thereof is more indicative of what that individual will do in the future. I'll give you another example of that. So I mentioned, if it hadn't been for this woman's name and return address, I would have thought it was somebody I knew, because I know someone up the way, very similar. An acquaintance, once upon a time at most, never a friend. When I'm going to go back to my stockbroker days here. I remember one time this old man came into my office because I'd been out knocking on doors, making my 25 contacts a day. Knocked on this guy's door. He barely spoke to me. I told him who I was, what I did, gave him my card. Well, a few days later, he just showed up. And this isn't the old man from the first story of October Nights, 31 Tales for the Halloween Season, which is an excellent short story collection. A lot of you say you love coming on here and hearing my stories. You've got to go to Amazon and get that book in print or Kindle. The link is in the description box below. While you're scrolling down to it, make sure to check out the merch shelf where you can get these very, very comfortable hoodies that I design. I have to get that in there because, man, Brad just down there in the basement pulls his hair out when I do that. I don't want to do that to my hair. I want to keep what little bit I got left. So anyway, this guy shows up, and he's got about a $500,000 account, which was a nice-sized account, and he's just complaining and griping about his current stockbroker and how much this guy sucks and how he hates him and all these things. So I did all the transfer paperwork and to get his accounts in. He left. I was so excited. I called my supervisor, like my regional leader, and I was like, I just got a $500,000 account. He goes, how'd you get it? I said, well, I was knocking on doors like we're supposed to, and this guy comes in 3 days later and he's just griping and complaining about his broker, how much he hates him. And he goes, all right. He goes, listen, young grasshopper, because I was like a 26-year-old kid, at the time. He said, don't get too invested in this guy. Don't get too close, because listen, people who just bitch and complain about the person they were working with before, it's just a matter of time before you're the one they're bitching and complaining about. That's who they are. His last broker is probably an okay guy. It's just, this is who this guy is. Enjoy the account while you have it. Do the right thing. Enjoy any commissions you make off of the account while you have it. But when he gets pissed off at you because you're the one that sucks, don't be surprised. Again, I was a 26-year-old kid. I didn't have a lot of experience working with people. I thought, my regional leader, he's just jealous because I just got an account, that's $500,000. It probably took him a long time to get an account that size. And he's jealous, He's seen me coming up, and he's trying to, what they do in corporate America is the guys that really make it to the top, what they're good at? They're good at transferring people sideways. When they see someone coming up that's threatening them, they get them to a different department. I'm telling you, man, it's dog eat dog out there. But my regional leader was right. About 18 months later, I got a call from this guy telling me how much I sucked, how terrible I was. And all I ever did was make the guy money, even in down markets. And he transferred his accounts out. So, fast forward. There was a guy he'd stop by every now and then. Never invited. He lived down the way. And not a bad guy. I'm telling you, not a bad guy. And to a degree, a nice guy. But very passive-aggressive, a lot of underlying angst and anger. And he would stop by to ask, of course, how we're doing, which was his way of figuring out what we were doing. And my wife couldn't stand him. And it's not that I could so much, it's just I was trying to, I didn't want to rock the boat with, I'm not going to say exactly where they are, but they're down that way some. So I would be friendly. And after about a minute or two, this guy would just start complaining about this, complaining about that. Hated people who were successful. Anybody who had succeeded was, because of luck, being in the right place at the right time, someone they knew, born into money. And this guy claimed to have his own business. Well, he doesn't. Or he doesn't produce. He doesn't work. He doesn't do anything. And I was thinking about this guy when I got the letter from the lady asking me what could she do to get her husband to kind of do more than he's been doing. Nothing. This guy, and I watched and I observed over a number of years, this guy's past performance, you know what he worked at? He worked at coming up with every excuse as to why he couldn't succeed. Instead of figuring out what he needed to do to be successful, he worked at, he should be a writer. He should be the one telling stories. I mean, some of the reasons he just couldn't succeed, of course, it was always maybe certain political parties' fault, the government's fault. Hated rich people. He despised rich people. And I said to him one day, I said, are you in business to make a profit? Would you like to make money? He goes, well, of course. I said, well, dude, you might want to stop hating people who are successful. He's like, why? They're greedy. And do you want to be successful? He goes, well, of course I do. And I said, think about this. Do any of us want to become something that we despise, something that we absolutely hate? And he, well, of course not. Well, you need to stop hating successful people, because the fact of the matter is, you're never going to be able to succeed or become successful because you view that as a bad thing. And he thought about it. Well, anyway, he left, and Dearly was like, I wish that guy just wouldn't come around. And he didn't come around a lot, just, maybe once a quarter. And I told her, honey, don't worry. In time, he will hate us and he will stop coming around. And she's like, why are you saying that? And I go back to the story that my regional leader told me about when I got that $500,000 account. I said, this guy hates successful people. And we were just starting to do this YouTube thing. We were just starting to build the YouTube channel. I was still working at the post office 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, at times 17 days straight without a day off, but still making 2 or 3 YouTube videos a day that Dearly would upload and publish about 6 hours apart while I was delivering mail, because we didn't want that. We wanted this. So we worked hard to change our situation to live the life we wanted to do. But I told her, I said, honey, we are going to make it with YouTube. We're going to make this work. And once we've succeeded at this, I promise you that guy will hate us. He will hate us and he'll stop coming around, because that's who he is. His past performance indicates that he hates successful people. And the underlying truth of that is because he sees in them so much of what he's not, and what I don't want to say what he will never be, but what I will say is what he will never be until he has a massive paradigm shift up here between his ears. He's got to get rid of that stinking thinking. And that's what I was getting at when I was talking about going into town today and walking around for 2 hours. If you're watching news, if you're reading stuff on the internet, it's always doom and gloom. How bad of a place the world is. People make comments like, they would never bring a child into this world and all this terrible stuff. If you sit around and you isolate and you don't leave your house and you put that stuff in your head all the time, you will begin to believe it. Now, I don't watch news. Like I said, I do not let that negative nonsense enter this mind. But if I stay here for too long, especially by myself with my wife and kid gone, I need to get out. I need to get out. And I have friends, okay, and I've contacted the friends that I want to be in touch with. Actually going fishing with a very good buddy here in just a couple of days. I wonder if he wears corduroy. Well, anyway, today I didn't want to just hang out with a good friend. Whoop, my chair just broke. It's from lifting all them logs, getting too heavy. Of course, it could be that I've left this chair sitting up here in the rain for the last 3 years. Or could it have been something else? So anyway, went out, had a wonderful lunch. Went for a 2-hour-long walk. Talked kindly and politely to strangers, random strangers throughout. Saw a couple of college students up at the university on Observatory Hill. They have a student garden, all these beautiful raised garden beds. There was a young lady and a young gentleman there tending to the garden. I stopped and talked to them for 20 minutes. Went past the rotunda. Saw the kids hanging out on the lawn back there behind, the rotunda. They had their blankets laid out and they were eating food and just hanging out. And not to mention, I got some exercise out of all of it. Went back to the truck, went to the post office, drove to the post office, got this wonderful stuff. I knew I was going somewhere with this. Oh, I gave my sermon. If a man ain't willing to get up off his ass and go out and work and take care of you, then he don't deserve to lay the pipe. Again, brothers and sisters, look that up in the Urban Dictionary. All right, so I got a letter from... Oh, I was talking about that guy that used to come around. How did that end? Exactly how I knew it would, and exactly how I told Dearly it would, and exactly how we kind of wanted it to. In that, he just stopped coming by. Again, I hope that guy eats, just not at my table. But he came over one day. He's like, "Oh my God, you're not going to believe it. YouTube recommended I watch one of your videos." I said, "Well, yeah, I guess I would believe it because YouTube's recommended millions of people around the world watch our videos and millions of people a month are." He's like, "Are you serious?" Well, yeah. I mean, he knew we were doing this. And I told him we were going to do this, and he'd laugh. And one time he was complaining about how he didn't even have enough money to make the minimum payments on his credit card bills that month, and he was going to have to go groveling back to his wife. And she takes care of the whole household. I mean, if it wasn't for her, dude would be not taken care of. And so I reached out and I said, "Hey, you want me to help you out with this? Let's figure out what your hobby is, what your interest is, what turns you on. Let's set you up and I'll help you in social media and you can be successful." He laughed, and he said he had to ask permission of his wife. Well, I just thought that meant he didn't want to do it. But as I observed over the next few years, I realized, no, he probably really did need to ask permission of his wife, because it seemed that she had his family jewels, as it were, in a jar somewhere, either in her purse or maybe locked up in the basement, but they certainly were not on his person. Maybe he asked and she told him no, and he put his head down and slunk away and said, "Okay." I don't know, but he never broached the topic with me about, him doing it again and me helping get him set up. But about 6 months or a year later, he comes back by, and you could just tell he was angry this time when he stopped by, complaining about whatever he was complaining about. And he starts complaining about all the stupid people that watch my videos. He just couldn't believe how many stupid people there were that watched my videos. And I said, "Well, did you ever think that maybe they're just entertained? You ever think they like coming here? They like some of the stories I tell about my past, some of my experiences, Do you think maybe they're actually seeing some stuff up here?" And then he's telling me again how stupid they are to believe in this stuff. And then he asked about dollar amounts, revenues, and I knew exactly what was going to happen when I told him. I told him I used numbers, and he pretty much insinuated that I was just a dumb hillbilly from West Virginia, And he left, and by God's grace, he's never come back. Thank God for small favors. And it goes, I told Dearly long before this, listen, this guy hates successful people because they show what anybody who's willing to put their mind to an objective and do the work to get there and be consistent and be persistent and never, ever, ever give up can do. And he's not willing to do any of those things. He hasn't and this guy's older than me. And so past performance, when it comes to people, the majority of the time is indicative of future results. Okay, we're not mutual funds, we're people. We can change, but we can't do it for others. A lady from Iowa, listen, you might want him to go out and do these things. If he doesn't want to do them, he ain't gonna. So again, if your man ain't going to get up off his ass and go out there and dig a ditch to help support you, he don't deserve to lay the pipe. Look it up in the Urban Dictionary. All right, so Lynn in northeastern England. Lynn, I'm going to read the material you sent me, but she sent me a letter, and she was talking about how she was in church, and I'm not pushing religion, none of this. This is Lynn's experience. There was a woman there that had been a missionary in China, and she was going back to China, and she was doing what missionaries do. She was trying to raise funds to go back and help the poor. Lynn had 10 pounds on her. She needed it to go buy some groceries after church that day, but she felt a burden placed on her heart to give that missionary that money. Lynn did that, and she went home. She had beans. She sent her letter, and she's just going to eat beans that day. A couple hours later, her sister showed up at the house, knocking on the door. And she opened the door, and her sister said, look, I don't know why, but I felt compelled to bring you this today, and it was 20 pounds. It was twice as much as Lynn gave the missionary. And then Lynn mentioned in there at the end of her letter something that a lot of folks have been saying in the comments ever since that message video. It said, that which you do for the least of these, you do also to me, or for me. That's powerful. The way I like to say it is that what you send out there in the universe gives back. Like that guy that I talked about. Negative this, negative that, can't succeed because of this, blame because of that. All these things are going to go wrong. That's what that guy's life consists of. But Dearly and I felt, well, we can escape this third world poverty we're living in here in the Philippines at the time. We can make it to the U.S. I can get back to the Charlottesville area. I can buy a beautiful big piece of property out in the, in the county, and we can make it here on social media. There's so many people that do what I do who have succeeded at it. Why can't I be one of them? Well, I think I can, and so we did. We did the work required to get there, and we did. We're getting ready to do it again. Okay, Dearly's in the Philippines, as you know. We're getting a laptop for 4 of her siblings, 3 of her siblings and 1 of her little nieces. And we're going to help them start a YouTube channel. And I'm coming to you to help me help them get started. And we're going to start now with the name. So it's not going to be our channel, okay? We're not going to be taking cuts of their profits once they, become profitable and get monetized. No, it's all for them because, listen, I've always believed the best help you can give anybody is the type of help that enables them to be able to help themselves going forward. And no, don't take that to think that I mean the best solution for poverty is a job. That's not true. There's a lot of working poor. I tempt sometimes with some people who work 40 hours a week and are still poor because wages are too low. So that's crap, okay? There's a big difference here. Listen, these young people are willing to do what the man who wants to complain about everything isn't. They're willing to change their lives, change their situation, and get to a point to where they don't have to be dependent upon Sister Dearly, husband Kevin, brother-in-law Kevin, or whatever, or anybody, because they can completely and fully provide for themselves. So, what I want to ask of you is, what should we name it? What should we name this new YouTube channel? It's going to be her brother Abel, her sister's Koi, Dat, and her little niece, Judea. We'll introduce you to them when we get the channel set up, but we need to know, what are we going to name the channel? What did you think I was talking about? We're going to have another one, and we need you to help us pick a name. Come on, brah. Get back in the basement. I'm going to go find Bigfoot.